We'll let that dry just a little bit. Now, I'm gonna brush off. These brushes have a tendency to shed a little bit. All right, so we're gonna start working on the mirror shine. This is where I'm going to open up my mirror gloss. Again, you don't have to have this. It just kind of speeds up the process. Also, you'll notice that mine is broken and it's kind of breaking up into pieces. I get this question all the time. You know, my wax is dried out. Is it useless? I didn't barely use it, and now it's, anyways, it's not. You just have to warm it up a little bit, melt it back down. So what I always do, especially with this one, is I just bring a couple of those little beads over and make a spot, flatten it out, get that wax. Saphir does make a wax softener, and it's a spray, and they claim that what it does is it just reintroduces solvents to the wax so that it's like new again. I've not used it. I'd like to try it. I just haven't found the need for it yet. So as you're adding this, I do it a little differently than most people, and you'll see that I'm adding quite a bit of wax. Now I'm not bringing clumps of it, I'm trying to keep the layers even and smooth. If you try to put a clump on here, you'll end up with high spots, and you'll notice that when you start buffing that different areas aren't shining the same or evenly, and that can lead to wet spots or dry spots and different issues. So keep your application as even as possible. Come along here. I just do one finger's width along the base of the shoe. 9 times out of 10, it won't crack. And we're not going to take it to a full mirror, but it just kind of adds some consistency to the shoe, tying the toe to the heel. But your shoe usually flexes more up in here, and the little bit of flexion that happens here doesn't usually lead to any cracking. So, of course, that varies shoe to shoe, but for my shoes and the way that I walk, I find that I'm able to do that one finger's width worth. The other thing when you're doing this is you don't want to forget the heel. I see some people that are able to pull off a really solid mirror shine on the toe, but then the back of the shoe has been forgotten. You don't want to do that. Again, it just leads to an imbalance. The shoe doesn't look like it's been taken care of all the way. So if you're going to take the time to do the toe, take some time to follow around and do the heel as well. These shoes have a unique like full brogue all the way back. So I just shine the heel section underneath that. If you don't have a shoe like that and it's smooth all the way up, you'll still want to look for that where the top of your shoe creases when you walk, because anywhere that you do these heavy mirror shine on top of those creases, it'll crack and you'll get this nasty white. It's just the wax, but it's powdered and broken, and it'll detract from the overall appearance of the shoe. All right, so we've done a few layers of the mirror gloss. Then what I do is I come back to the wetter Pat Deluxe, and I do the same thing gently. If you push down too hard, what you'll end up doing, because of the heavier solvents in the Pat Deluxe, is you'll strip off that mirror gloss, and it'll do the same thing. You'll have spots that have heavy wax coverage, spots with no wax coverage. So we're just doing this to keep those applications even. So clean up that broguing, get that horsehair brush again, and you're just going to tap it, and that'll pull out the wax in the broguing. That's all it takes. If you don't like that idea, you can use a toothpick or a sewing needle or something small enough you can kind of stick in there gently and swirl it around. But if you catch it early and you're able to use the brush, it's a lot easier. So after you've done the wax, I don't let it dry. I grab my cotton cloth, and this is one of the cloths that I make. So I've used it, I've washed it a few times. That's what it looks like clean, is it's just a white, pure cotton. It's a dense weave, so it's very dense cotton, and it's kind of a softer hand. But anyways, that's what I use. And a few of you guys have started asking what cloth that I use, so figured I would show you that. If you're interested in getting a cloth or two for yourself, just shoot me a message and we can get you that. All right, so with your cotton, you want to get some water. If you don't have one of these, you can put some water like in the lid of your wax, pour it in there, and then just kind of tap it with your finger and get a drop or two. But this makes it a lot easier. So you want to get your cloth damp. You see I'm tapping it to my hand, pulling out all that excess water. I don't want it to be wet. I just want it to have some moisture there. It breaks down on the friction. And you want to get some wax on there. And we just start buffing. You don't want to push down too heavily yet. That'll strip off the wax. So we're just gently buffing the shoe, circular motions. You'll notice that shine starting to build up. And then as you practice and you get used to the process, you'll kind of start feeling that happy medium of wax versus water. That gives you the best buffing. So you don't want your cloth to get dry. If you start feeling it dragging, that's not a good sign. If it gets too wet, you'll start getting those dry spots and you'll feel that. It kind of gets kind of stuttery. And then you want to keep using just a touch. I'm not pushing, I'm not dragging, just touching to get a little bit of that wax on there, and the solvents in the wax help to form that glissage or that mirror gloss to the shoe. You'll see I'm not sticking in one area too much, kind of moving around the shoe. Make sure as I'm not sitting in one area too much and then actually stripping off the wax layers underneath rather than building them. Neat thing about black shoes is they show a shine really, really well. So some people like to say that they're the easiest to mirror shine, but just like anything black, a black car, black suit, they also show your mistakes. So they'll show your swirl marks, they'll show little micro scratches. So to get a really clean, nice mirror shine on a pair of black shoes, it's a great way to practice because you're able to see all of your mistakes. Versus a lighter shoe, because of the lighter pigment, it's not as reflective, so it's harder to build that up, but it's also much more forgiving of your mistakes. So black shoe, really good to practice on. You'll get your method down. All right, so you can see that it's kind of already starting to build. It's not very clear, but we are getting, I don't know if you can kind of see, maybe this will help. We're getting some color reflection on the toe already. So once you got to that point, take the cloth off and go back to slowly adding layers of wax. Again, don't push too hard, especially when you're using the Pat Deluxe, because the solvents in the wax can soften the layers that you've already built and start stacking on. So if you push too hard or try to add too much at once, you'll actually be doing more harm than good. So be careful not to do that. We're just trying to add more wax so we're able to build on it. That's all. All right. Grab your cloth again. Make sure it's tight. You don't want any wrinkles in your cloth. Back to buffing. As you can see, anybody can do this. It doesn't require anything special, just requires time, practice and a fair amount of patience. It's very repetitive. If you're not trying to rush through it, it can become relaxing. You can easily work on a pair of shoes while you're sitting on the couch watching TV or listening to music. You just have to be willing to spend some time doing it. There we go. Really getting some real reflection off of that toe. Probably going to just buff this heel just a little bit more. I don't normally take that to a full mirror. I just like to get some reflection. I mean, you're still seeing, kind of still see myself. It's foggy, but I just do it enough so that the shoe looks balanced. So I'll buff that, get some of those ripples and little micro scratches out of there so that it's clean looking. What I'm doing is very lightly buffing quickly back and forth. Do the same thing. I'll probably be done along that line as well. And just focus now on getting that toe where we want. As you start building that up, you'll start to notice spots that aren't shining quite the same, so it's all right if you focus on a single area for a little bit just to bring it up to the same level as the rest of the toe. As you finish or get close to finishing, you'll want to find a clean section. So now this towel doesn't look clean, that's just because I've used it quite a bit. So I'm going to step over here to a clean section that I haven't put any wax on yet. Again, make it tight. Get a little bit of water, so it's just damp. And then just a light touch. And this is how we'll finish buffing. If your cloth gets too clogged with wax, you'll notice that the shoe will kind of plateau, or the shine will kind of plateau. So you want to move to a nice clean section of your cotton cloth, and you can move into the final sections of buffing. Also, towards more of the final part of the buffing, you'll notice I'm starting to work still circular motions, but I'm also buffing straight lines. And the reason for that is I'm able to move faster that way than I am in the circular motions, and since I've already built up that wax layer, I'm able to melt it down and get a nice clean surface. Again, you don't want to do that too early. You'll start stripping your wax off. You don't want to do it with too dry of a surface. Same thing, it'll heat up too much and you'll actually start noticing that the wax is coming off on your cloth. So keep a little bit of water on there. Helps reduce the friction, so you're able to fully buff this to a near finish. Alright, that's pretty good. So I don't know how well you can see that, but we're getting a really nice clean shine there. Let's see if it'll reflect. If you're able to pick that up there, but you can read it in the shine, and that's really what you're going for. So we'll finish this one up, get the laces back in it, and then we'll do the other one. Off. Gently pull that tree out. Grab your laces. to be somewhat careful on this, especially after you've mirror shined it. You don't want to mess up your shine from putting laces on. So I'm going to do these with the bar lacing. I think it looks cleaner on this pair of shoes. So you'll see I fed both ends of the laces in, creates the first bar. And I do this a little differently. So rather than just taking this one and kind of rotating all the way up and then just drawing this one to the top, I don't prefer that, as it doesn't really tighten the shoe very well. So what I do is I kind of go back and forth. So I'll take this first one and I'll reach under here. I'm going to stick it in that second eyelet. See how that's coming? Then I'll go across and go in straight across. And there's the second bar. And what I'll do is I'll take the other side, take it to the third eyelet, take it straight across, and give our third bar. So what I'm doing is I'm crisscrossing them evenly underneath, so when we tighten these up and we lace them or tie them, it'll look like nice bar lacing all the way up, but it's also allowing you to keep your shoes snug. You just want to make sure you're skipping every other. So this one is the second one, so we'll pull that tight and then run it up here, straight across, giving us our fourth bar. There we go. And then run it under. And then if it's not even, you can kind of play with that. It's pretty good. Again, carefully put that tree back in. There we go. Now, this is where, again, a nice softer bristle brush comes in really handy. You don't want to use water for this part, but if I were to take a horsehair brush over the shine, you start getting little scratches in it. If I take a yak hair, what I can do is I can give it a little bit of a brush on the areas that we didn't mirror shine, and that'll take care of any fingerprints I may have put on the leather, anything like that. It's also really nice for in between wears. A good mirror shine should last you for a while. So if you have a nice soft bristled brush in between wears, you can kind of brush off any of the dust or any dirt that might happen in between wears. But there we go. That is one completed mirror shine shoe. You see it starts right there in the toe, works around, we connected it there along the sole, comes to the heel, all the way around, back to the toe. So there they are side by side, one mirror shined and then one not.